12, I think that when we were sitting together chatting, we were chatting for a bit, and she got upset at me. She said, "Daddy, why can you do certain things that I can't?" Right? A couple things. And so I thought, And I remembered back when I was a kid, my father used to eat in the bed. And if you can remember or think about when I was a kid, it's the 70s, late 60s. And he used to sit in his bed and eat. And he liked citrus fruits like grapefruit, oranges, and things like that, and eat them. And he'd watch TV. And back then, he actually had a TV on top of his dresser, and he had the button where you would click it and it would move the channel up or down one. In fact, it only moves it up one. Right? Remember those old school, those got you were older as I am. You click the button, it would pop up. Boop, boop, boop. So now I get upset. I said, "Dad, how come I can't go in my room and eat in my bed? How come I can't do the cool? I don't have to be at the table." And his answer wasn't something like politeness or anything like that. His answer was, "Because I pay the bills." That was kind of his answer. He said, "I pay the bills, so I do what I want." That kind of was his answer. So when I thought about that, I actually went to my daughter and I said, "Well, you see me eating in the living room watching TV and you can't." She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, because if I ruin the couch, I got to pay for it. So I'm paying for the problem if there is one." And she said, "Oh, okay." And that was it. But imagine if I'd said that. And then my daughter said, "Well, I'm going to have my grandma come in and decide to pay for the couch if I ruin it. So, Dad, I'm going to go eat in my in the living room, and if I trash the couch, Grandma's going to pay for it. So you have nothing to say now." You might say, "Wow, that's kind of weird, Larry. Why would you tell me that?" Because that's actually how our government controls us. Yeah, they say, "Do as I say, and I'll fix it." I'm responsible for stuff, so do as I say. Don't do as I say, I won't fix things. Don't do what I say, and I won't give you money. What's my example of that? There are many of them. Schools, hospitals, all over. You see the government say, "You must do what we say for schools," but it's not a law. It's not a rule. You don't have to do it. But if you don't, we're not going to fund you. You're not going to get cash, even though it's your cash. At least in my fictitious scenario, it's actually grandma or grandpa's money, at least. It's not my money, right? But in the case of the government, I'm giving the money to the government, and then they're giving it back to me if I do what they say. Hospitals. We saw it during the COVID lockdowns, didn't we? We saw the government say, "You may only do certain things or we don't pay you. And if you do other things, then we will pay you." But then they blame the hospitals for failure. They blame doctors for failure. Yet they're the ones who incentivize hospitals and doctors to do whatever they were doing by literally saying, "I won't pay you." We get mad at teachers. We get mad at administrators. "Oh, it's so bad. They're messing up." But it's government who's deciding, not officially, but through money, what they do. You might say, "Larry, you have brought this up many times. Why are you talking about it now?" It's going to sound odd because they're moving to another one, which is even more farms. Yes, they're going to try to pretend like they're going to help people. And when it came to the COVID lockdowns, they told us it was because of health and they wanted to help people. It wasn't, it was control. When it came to schools, it's about the children. It's not, it's about control and money. It's always about control and money. They will say it's about children or they'll say it's about our elderly, but it's not. Farmers, it's happening now. They care about the workers. No, they don't. But they will tell you that they care about the workers. What they're doing now is, you may hear this, they're going to help the workers by changing how we pay our workers. There is actually a New York Farmers Wage Board. Why in the world would you have that? Well, because it's New York, and there has to be a board or a commission for literally everything. Literally everything. I am shocked, but it's true. For literally everything. There is a board for everything. So now even for this, the New York State Farmers Wage Board. And they're deciding that, you know what? You have to pay workers, farm workers, overtime after 40 hours, not 60 anymore. Used to be 60. And you might say, Larry, that sounds unfair. Because why would you want farmers to work 60 hours? And here's an issue. Much farm work, not all, but much farm work is seasonal. So people are happy to go work 60 hours in a week, but then not work for months on end, right? They're okay with it. They bust their rump for X number of months, then they don't work. It's seasonal, and they're okay with that. They're not complaining about it. They're not fighting about it. In fact, the Farmers Bureau is against this idea. The workers are against this idea. The only people who are for it are the people on the board who are selected by our government officials. No cronyism there. So you might say, well, wait a minute, Larry. Why do you care? Here's why I care. Number one, why in the world is a board deciding how farmers pay their workers? That's on a philosophical level. But let's forget about that. Let's talk about practicality. Practicality. The workers are already scamming. Most of them are already undocumented or black market workers already. Farmers are going out of their way to use black market recruiters to bring people on, and they bring them up with false Social Security numbers all the time. And we know this. And we know this. And we still do it. So what will they do now? They will instead now have to get less pay. Why? Because the farmer now would say, hey, I'm going to pay you X dollars an hour for 60 hours. Well, now, once it's past 40, they got to pay you time and a half. What are they going to do? They're not going to pay you the same amount. They're going to get another worker. They're going to get a separate worker to work again. Now, that hurts everybody because the worker who wants to work 60 hours a week and wants to make the money now can't because the farmer's going to say, I can't afford you. I'll hire another worker. So that individual person makes less money who wants to make the money. Number two, how are farmers going to find more workers? Oh, that is tough. So what's going to happen? It's already happening. The farm workers are going to get a second bogus Social Security number. Yes. So they will now have two Social Security numbers. And they'll work 80 hours, 40 hours on each Social Security number, and they'll just get paid the same way they were paying, except now we've increased the black market, and now there are more reasons for the government to attack and investigate farmers and put small farmers under. That's what will happen. That's already happening. So now this board and the state has more of a reason to go hammer small farms and to penalize them, and put them under. More of a reason to put people in jail for more false Social Security numbers, which is going to be happening more and more and more again and again. We are increasing the black market. We are hurting our workers who want to work more. We're hurting our farmers, and we're making everything more expensive. For what? They will tell you it's because they care about workers. That's not true. If they cared about workers, they would make a better system to document our workers and leave them alone. But we don't do that. We have a black market system to document our workers. And now we're increasing in the black market. Now, you might say to yourself, Larry, I live in a city. I'm not a farmer. What do I care about these black market workers? Whatever. Let them do what they want. Why are you bothering me about this? Here's why. Because the more of a black market we have in our undocumented and foreign labor force, the more the bad guys who are part of that avoid law enforcement. Yes, because the more scared the workers and farmers are of themselves being punished, the less they will help law enforcement to get the bad guys who are also part of that worker force. To be clear, the vast majority of workers are not bad people. They just want to go work. But there are some bad people in that workforce, in that labor force, in those people coming to our state. Law enforcement can't get them. Why? No one will talk because they're going to be punished. This will make this even worse. So you, person who is not a farmer, you are now less safe. Why? Because bureaucrats in Albany want to control the farmers. And now you're going to tell me, but Larry, how are they going to control farmers? Come on. Because here's the key. Once the dollar value goes over X, I think it's 60 hours, something like that, the state steps in and pays. Yes, your taxpayer dollars now go to pay for farm workers. So even though you're not in a farm, you're paying for it. Isn't that awesome? But here's the best part of it all. Now the government will say, hey, farmer, do as I say, or I won't give you that taxpayer money. Taxpayer screwed, farmer screwed, workers screwed, government has more control. Lose, 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 lose. Nothing but bad. But we care about workers. No, we don't. Am I wrong? Do you even care? 585-346-3000. Larry Sharp, WYSL, Rochester, New York, Owner Free Solution. Back with your calls and the chat after the break. Excellent. Thank you. It is Larry Sharp. So happy to have you back here on WYSL, a free solution, Rochester, New York. I was talking before the break about how government controls us. Yes, it does. Absolutely controls us. How it controls us via money, whether that's hospitals, schools, and now even farms. So let me take a call if I could. I'm going to grab Kevin from Webster. Kevin, how are you? It is. Absolutely. That's very true. Yes, absolutely. Oh, okay. Well, help me out. Oh, I see. Okay. Why would you want me to do that? Tell me why.
issue would counterbalance you quite well.
Yes, host the next steps.
I like it. So maybe I'll have her on. I love the idea.
Hey, you like that? All right. What do you think about this new battery craze with the electric bikes and scooters? You think
I'm
an
not sure what you
infrastructure
mean.
over there with the advent of the electric scooters, the electric bicycles? What do you think about the bike lanes and these?
Are you talking about New York City?
Obviously, the infrastructure is not set up for electric scootering or even cycling all that well.
Are you talking about New York City?
Well, I'm speaking in terms of upstate New York, Monroe County.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Rochester
Okay. You did a very broad question. Let me be very clear about bicycles and bicycle lanes, electric bicycles. I'm not against any of them. I'm not against any of those things. If a local area thinks it's the right answer, it's totally fine. The problem is the way they do it. They don't do it well. Here's what they do. They decide we're going to put bike lanes in. Then they go to the community and say, hey, you have public comment on bike lanes. The people then say, hey, I'm upset about the bike lanes. They go, thank you for your public comment, and then they put in bike lanes. If people actually, local people, were deciding what they wanted locally, I wouldn't be so bothered by it. My problem is it almost never happens. It's almost always crony capitalism. It's almost always friends who are able to make, some type of push because of dollars being given, which is how these are actually dealt with. That's my problem, right? My issue is that. And when it comes to electric bikes, again, not worried about them. I think they're fine if you like those things. I don't want the state paying for them. I don't want the city paying for them. If a private company wants to decide to, rent out electric bikes, or you want to purchase one yourself, all good. My worry is what happens constantly is government decides it's a good answer, then pushes it. The local people have no say. To your point, the infrastructure is not prepared for it whatsoever. And now I have cars hitting bicyclists, bicyclists hitting pedestrians, pedestrians hitting bicyclists, all those things happening bad. Everybody's suing everybody, nothing but a pain. Everybody's upset. And government goes, oh, now I have to step in and make more rules. So now there'll be more laws that will punish more people. So in an attempt to do the right thing, it creates more of a police state. Did I answer your question?
Heck yeah. So what I heard you say is that there's two main factors that you're concerned
We have another
about,
call, Craig, on hold.
The incentivization of the government money that's flowing through, and then the administrative segue that the money makes to the specific subcontractors. So when we win something in our region, like some sort of contract, and I won it on behalf of the constituency, and they bring it back, and then you never know how the money ends up being spent.
Correct.
It requires some sort of audit afterwards.
Well, and the other piece is, right, it almost always comes from the state, right? So that's even worse, meaning that the money leaves the counties, goes to the states, and the state decides where that money goes back. I would rather the local people decide that they think it's a good investment and to invest locally. That would be better in my world. But in reality, that's almost never, right? It's almost always the state decides and plays Hunger Games against one or the other, and then the state hands out the jobs and decides who gets what job also. And it's often not even a local person who gets the job to fix the local area. So that, again, lose, lose, lose.
How concerned can you hear me?
Yep.
How concerned are you about the power of state government? And there's a whole other layer on top of that, which is federal government. But
sure,
what do you think about the power that the state government has, being in a state like New York?
Your questions are so broad. Obviously, I hate it. Obviously, I don't like it. I would like to have power as local as possible. And the reason why is I would rather have the state be a fair referee or a fairer referee to stop local bullies from punishing local people. There will always be bullies. Always. We're not going to stop people from being bullies. People have extra money or extra resources or extra whatever, and they will try to punish others. It's what people do. But if the state is the one doing it, there is no one to protect us. If only the local people are doing it,
then the state has an opportunity to step in. I should be able to go to my state and say, local tough guy is trying to do something I don't want. Come help me out. The sad part, though, is now most of the time, the local tough guy is an agent of the state. He's enforcing the king's will. So the state is happy that he's doing it or she's doing it. So the bully is part of the game. So I would like the state government to have as little power as possible in controlling people and much more in defending people. Does that make sense?
In terms of police officers?
In terms of everything, specifically a court system, but specifically a court system. So, Kevin, thank you so much for your call. I got another call if you don't mind.
Okay. All right. Bye, Larry.
Have a good one. I want to grab one more call if I could. I know his questions were broad. I hope I answered them at least. I want to grab, if I could, Craig from Clinton. How are you, sir? Did I get you?
I'm good. How are you, Larry?
There we go. What's going on, my friend?
Oh, more tyranny in New York State, just like every other Tuesday.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So I called originally to comment on the farms, but one of the questions that the last caller brought up was about the infrastructure and all that. So I have a story about that here locally. I can't remember exactly what town or county it was in, but it was somewhere here in central New York. And the state decided that they were going to put in some sort of a traffic control device. I don't know if it was I don't know if it was like a roundabout or if it was a stoplight or what it was. Mm-hmm. But they had the right of way because it was on a state road, but it was in the middle of nowhere. It was in this town. And one day the state just starts construction on this thing. And everybody in the town, even like the supervisor, was, what is this? And they're like, oh, you guys are getting a new stoplight, didn't you know? And they're like, no, we don't want it. It's terrible. That's a terrible idea. Yes. And the state went and built it throughout the town fighting against it, right? As the town's trying to fight it, the state's building it. The town finally went, fought it, beat it. The town or the state came and tore it out. So how is that a good use of resources? You know, they have all the time in the world to sit around and think of stupid ideas that have nothing to do with anything locally. Then they implement them. The locals say, this is garbage. Yep. And this was the best case scenario where they were actually able to overturn it. But that's horrible that that's the best case scenario.
And all the time and money that got spent in putting them in and taking them out when maybe they should, I don't know, been fixing potholes or something or restriping a road or whatever the local people actually cared about, not stoplights that no one else did. Yes. Yeah. And some contractor, to Kevin's point, some contractor got paid both times. The contractor's happy as can be. They got paid to put them in. They got paid to take them out. They don't care. Let's put them back in again. All good.
They loved it. They said, let's do it again next month.
Yes. And I got to tell you, something happened here in Queens too. They put stoplights on our road, and now the trucks stop by and pump all their horrible stuff in front of houses now. And these just drive right on by. Same thing. Brother, thank you so much for the call, Craig. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
So, are we right on this? Are we just talking trash? You tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharp, A Free Solution. WYSL, Rochester, New York. Back. I will get to the chat, I promise. And also your calls after the break.
Pray for the USA. AM 1040 Avon, Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll see mostly cloudy.
What's the problem?
A good chance we'll see some areas of lake effect rain moving across the region down near 50. Wednesday, mostly cloudy, a chilly wind out of the north.
Aisha Crooks is the head of the Frederick Douglass Foundation. She's also co-host of The Next Steps with Peter Vasquez. I don't know if you know Peter.
WYSL.
Yeah, so yeah, they're
Your
on
business
weekends, so
relies on
that's the
computers
show
and
he was referring
technology
to.
operate. Slow, unreliable networks and service
welcome.
can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
As the weather cools off, you've probably heard about local energy suppliers asking for a steep rate increase. After recent record gas prices, think what it might cost to heat your home or business this winter. Save your comfort and your wallet with Air & More infrared zone heaters, which may save up to 50% compared to just using your furnace. Air & More zone heaters let you turn down your central heat and stay cozy in the room you're using. Heat from Air & More infrared is healthier. No combustion that dries out your nose, sinuses, and skin. You get even quiet heat that fills rooms with warmth, not dust and blower noise. Oxygen rich and moist. Air & More heaters are completely safe, no exposed hot surfaces, no heating elements to pose shock or fire hazards. And they're completely safe around pets and children and have easy roll casters to make relocation a snap. With new copper PTC technology, there are no bulbs to replace ever. Save big on heating bills and stay comfy and healthy this winter. Buy direct.
And when we come back, I'm going to play a funny sound bite over the music. I don't know if you've ever heard it before. It's about the guy complaining about the traffic circles, the roundabouts causing tornadoes.
This fall, find new roads with
It was a guy that called in a listen line at a TV station in Pennsylvania. It was a real call.
If you need a pickup, get the versatility of a 2022 Chevy Silverado.
Yeah, when you hear the beep, the hang-up sound, that will be your cue to talk.
And then there's
You're
the
welcome.
2022 Chevy Equinox all-wheel drive LT, only $269 a month for 36 months.
$2,500 cash or trade equity at closing.
And don't forget, Victor Chevrolet has an unbeatable pre-owned selection. Whether it's a Chevy or not, trust your vehicle to our Chevy certified service department. Come see how easy it is to do business with us. Find new roads at Victor Chevrolet, Route 96 in Victor.
Visit VictorChevrolet.com.
These lease deals include returning lessee rebate. All factory rebates, incentives, and discounts are applied. Security deposit is waived. 10,000-mile allowance per year, 25 cents each additional mile. Must have leasing household. Tier 1 credit approval required. Lessee responsible for repair and maintenance. Conditions apply. Get details at dealer.
Geneseo Hardware and Rental has all your project needs. They have a large selection of hardware, plumbing, electrical, home goods, lawn and garden, plus much more. Geneseo Hardware offers Valspar paint, Cabot stains, a wide selection of rental items, plus screen and window repair. Get personalized service. Open 7 days a week. Geneseo Hardware and Rental, Route 20A next to Wegmans Plaza. Visit geneseo-rental.com.
Now offering lumber.
Empowering communities one relationship at a time is our commitment at Tompkins. Our customers have thrived thanks to our focus on local lending and their commitment to the customers they serve.
Tompkins helped us to finance the purchase of our beautiful new 8,000 square foot building.
Tompkins has always been there for us. We see a long relationship with Tompkins. They're good people.
Tompkins, banking, insurance, wealth. Member FDIC equal housing lender. Investment and insurance products are not FDIC insured, not bank guaranteed, and may lose value.
Hi, I'm Dr. Pat Brophy from UR Medicine, Golisano Children's Hospital. When your favorite team wins, it's because they work together. When a medical team saves a life, it's because they put all their skills together. That's why Golisano Children's Hospital is so dedicated to creating a healthy community. It will give kids in the region access to advanced care, help us do groundbreaking research, and provide top-notch training to the next generation of pediatricians. You can help us do this, so please give to Golisano Children's Hospital.
A free solution on the WYSL stations.
We didn't have tornadoes here until we started putting into traffic circles. Because on the count of, you want to know why? When people go round and round in circles, it causes disturbance in the atmosphere and causes tornadoes.
There we go. See? Craig was talking about putting in traffic things, and now we got tornadoes. I love it. And the point is, if you want a tornado, have a tornado. I'm kidding, obviously. Thought that was kind of funny. Thank you for that. Larry Sharp here on WYSL, New York, Rochester, a free solution. Thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. 585-346-3000. Before the break, I was talking about government trying to control with money and all those things. And it is very true. The chat has been popping up here, and I want to grab some of the people who have been talking about what's going on here. Danny says, New York is one hell of a den of vipers. Hard to actually put into focus the level of corruption in New York State alone. The problem is, Danny, to be clear, is New York State is just constantly grifting. And with that constant grift, it becomes almost impossible to not grift. And I want to be clear, I'm not excusing what happens. I'm explaining. If you've noticed, for those of you in New York who watch this, so many people get arrested for corruption. It's a common thing. They go to jail for corruption. Do any of them, the defense for any of them, is the defense ever, I didn't do it? It's somebody else. There's a mistake. Never. That's never their defense. But they defend it all the time. The defense is always the same thing. Everybody does it. That's their defense. The defense is, I can't get anything done unless I play the game. Everybody's playing the game. You're just targeting me because I'm your political enemy, but you're all doing it. And the funny part is, they're right. How would I know that? I've seen it, number one, but every single person has the same defense. The system is, to your point, Danny, well taken, a den of vipers. So how do you get anything done? If you want to get something done in our current system, they're begging you to be corrupt. It is really a problem. I agree completely, 100%. So thank you for bringing that up. I think you're totally right. Yes. All righty. We'll grab a couple more of these if I could. Peter says, I need to use a lot of drugs to buy into this narrative. Well, in New York State, if it's not prescription, you're not going to be able to, Peter, because you can't go to cannabis because we have an Office of Cannabis Management. Yes, another board. You thought, wait a minute, do we really need another board for cannabis? We have one of those too. And you might say, wait a minute, Larry, they must have this cannabis board because they want to protect people who are cannabis growers, right? Because they care. That's what they say. But I want to ask you a question. In some way, shape, or form, cannabis has been in the black market for about 100 years, right? They made it kind of illegal around the 20s or 30s. Is that about right? So about 100 years has been in the black market, give or take. In that black market for 100 years, where are all the dead users? Where are all the deaths from cannabis? Where are all the broken farmers? Nowhere. So now we're legalizing it and we require an Office of Cannabis Management to protect people. It was safe in the black market. How is it not safe not in the black market? I don't understand that. So this is just one thing. More government bureaucrats deciding how other heavy hitters, oligarchs, big business will benefit from an idea that's supposed to be helping the individual. It doesn't. By the way, this idea for farmers, it took the board, the New York State Farmer Wage Board, took them 2 years to figure this one out. I'm not joking. 2 years. Your time, your energy. Yeah. So the CB Engage, am I getting it right? Big support of you, Larry. Excited to see you coming to Orleans County this weekend. Yes, I will be in Orleans County this weekend. I'll be in Allegheny County this weekend also. I will also be in Cayuga County also. So I'll be in several counties this weekend. Please come out and see me. Cayuga and Allegheny is Friday. I believe Orleans is Saturday. I think it's Sunday. I think it's Saturday. It's Saturday. You want to check me out? Go over to my Facebook page, Larry Sharp Facebook page. You can see where I'll be. Come on out. Love to see you. You can just chat with me directly. Easy day, right? Absolutely. Easy day. I hope that will be helpful for you guys. Thank you for that. All righty. Tim says, being a contractor, I object. We actually hate having our names associated with that level of stupid. Well, it's a valid point, Tim. And the point is because you actually care. You're not a crony. Sadly, maybe one day you will be able to step up, Tim, to the level of crony. Maybe one day you'll get there. You can be a grifter like all the rest at that point. Sell your soul at that point. and you can make tons of money and you won't care about the stupid because you'll just be making so much money, it'll make up for it. Maybe you'll do that. Obviously, I'm teasing you, Tim, but I think there are a lot of people, to be forward, who just don't care. I wish that wasn't true, but there are two chunks of New Yorkers that are really hurting us. One is those who've surrendered. They just given up. And I don't blame them. I'm not mad at them for it, right? A lot of people are packing up and leaving, and I get it. I think I saw a meme or a data point online somewhere saying that there were about 6,000 New Yorkers who changed their license over to Florida last month. 6,000. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know where the data comes from. But the sad part is it's believable, right? So even if that number is incorrect, it's believable. In fact, I'm shocked it's only that. I would bet it's double that, right? I would think it's even more than that. And that's so far the largest, according to that meme, the largest amount that I've turned over in 1 month in years. So people have just given up and they're walking away. I get it. It's not their fault. I wish they would stay. I'm staying. I wish they would stay, but we have a state that's broken. And I get why they're leaving. And the second part is those who just want to grift while the grifting's good. Sadly, that's most of our Republican Party here in New York State and a chunk of our Democratic Party here in New York State. Almost all the Democratic Party. But there are parts of the Democratic Party who are still true believers, who still believe that if we just get a little bit more socialism, then we'll have that utopia I've been telling you about. So there are still some true believers in the Democratic Party. There aren't many true believers left in the Republican Party. Most of them have packed up and gone. Those who are left, most of them, and to be clear, I don't mean Republican voters. I mean Republican establishment people in the party. So I'll be clear on my distinction. The average Republican, the average Democrat, generally speaking, do not think this way. But the average Republican in the establishment is just grifting while the grifting's good. Some Democrats in the establishment are still true believers. They do believe if we just go a little bit more communism, then it'll work. A little more control. They still believe that. Clearly it's wrong, but they believe it. And the rest of them are just grifting while the grifting's good. So maybe one day, Tim, you can become that grifter. And then I won't respect you anymore. Oh, but it's okay. You can pay me to respect you. Wow, that sounds horrible. Okay, anyway, yes. Let me grab John if I could. Plattsburgh received a grant to fix up our parks from the state. But in return, they had to put up parking meters. There we go. Thank you, Josh. That is how they control you. We'll give you the money, but do as I say. This was Plattsburgh's response. The city of Plattsburgh's goal for the managed parking system is to efficiently manage the parking supply downtown, not to generate revenue. That's what they said. Ideally, all revenue would be used to cover the cost of administering and managing system maintenance and other parking enforcement related issues. If we didn't have this, there would be nothing to maintain. Yeah. So, John, that's your point. You making money to maintain the system, or you could just not have the system. Was parking that bad in the first place? So we got a grant so we can control. That's the point. Grant, control. We keep controlling. That is the problem. That's the entire issue. Exactly. Patty says, I had to inform my political friends of what's going on. No one's talking about it. No one knew third parties are off the ballot. No one knew there was no more Clinton Access League of Women Voters. It's insane. No one is aware. You know, Patty, you bring up another point. This goes back to the people who I say have checked out. You have people who are grifting and people who have checked out. When people check out, they don't care anymore. In fact, what winds up happening is the news becomes bad so often that they become numb to it. So when you say it, they go, yeah, it makes sense, whatever. This place is garbage, I'm leaving. That's all they think about. They don't even if they hear it and believe it, they no longer care. They don't think they can do anything about it. And for those who don't know this, particularly in parts of North Country, to know, Patty, you're up in that area, there are many people or groups of people in this state who don't vote at all. They're just giving up. There are parts of New York State where only 1 in 6 eligible voters actually goes to the poll to vote. If 1 in 6 of your population is voting, what does that say about your population? Or, more importantly, what does that say about your system? Now, I would hope that it's because the system is so awesome that everything is going so well that nobody wants to vote because life is so great. They trust government. Everything's awesome. All good. That will be great. So why bother voting? Because life is awesome. Yeah, that's not what's happening. That is not what's happening at all. I wish that was our problem. People are giving up. I'm asking you, don't give up. I haven't given up. Please don't give up yet. If you can stay, please stay. I'm not mad if you're leaving, but give me a chance. Maybe I can make it worth your while to stay. It's Larry Sharp here on A Free Solution. WYSL Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. Back with more of your chat and your calls after the break.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
As a veteran of the United States military, I can finally get the opportunity to enjoy special events, things that we couldn't afford, thanks to VetTix. Every empty seat at a concert, a game, or a play is a missed opportunity to say thanks to a veteran and service member. We can give our veterans a special event where they too can create their own cherished memories. Visit vettix.org. Find out how you can make a difference in a veteran's life.
WYSL. Getting podcasts of your favorite WYSL shows is easier and better than ever. Use your favorite device, PC, mobile, or tablet to visit WYSL1040.com. Simply click on the podcast tab to select, listen, download, and share instantly. Works great with any wireless device. No additional apps are necessary. Podcasts of all our local shows are easier to access and play, so share them with your friends. And thanks for listening anywhere, anytime to the voice of liberty, the WYSL stations. A free solution on the WYSL stations.
Yes, Larry Sharp here, WYSL, Rochester, New York, on A Free Solution. You might say, Larry, I love this show. It's an awesome show. You're right, it is. And you can actually watch it or listen to it 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can either follow A Free Solution on YouTube or follow us on Facebook. Either one. And you can check us out. We have the cool Tim O'Connor on. We even get Kevin Wilson on. Sometimes we even get Craig Miles on. It's crazy. All the cool people are on. So if you're listening to us, you can. You can listen to me on The Sharp Way. That's who I'm usually the host of, The Sharp Way. It's usually 7 p.m.s, except when I'm running. Not as much when I'm running because all my time is sucked up. However, I often am on 7 p.m. Eastern on The Sharp Way. Just check out LarrySharp.com or Sharp Way. Also good. Any of them will work. So I want to grab a couple more of the chat. You guys are chatting, giving me a bunch of stuff in the chat. I appreciate it. Let me grab a couple more if I could. All right. Let's see if I can grab a couple more of these. Tim says, 1 marijuana and Timmy kills grandma at Thanksgiving. Yeah, I don't think that's how that works, Tim. I agree. It's probably a bit of an exaggeration. The reality of it is, when it comes to cannabis, and some people listening will be upset when I say this, but I'm going to be very forward. Cannabis is not a gateway drug. Cannabis is an exit ramp for many people who are already stuck on harder drugs. It is a way of dealing with withdrawal symptoms, right? For those of you who maybe haven't heard this before, I understand what it's like to have an addict in my life. If you're listening to me, I am sure an addict is somewhere in your life in some way, family or friend or yourself. Addiction is everywhere in our society. So I'm sure you've dealt with that somehow in your life. When you have an addict in your life, they're not ready to quit when they're jonesing for their substance. It's not how that works. Can they possibly quit? Can they get help when they're not jonesing? Yes. Now we have a chance. Maybe they will hear you. Maybe this time when you tell them how much you love them, it'll land and they'll be able to make that next step. Cannabis will assist many people. It's not a magic pill, not going to help everybody, but some people, it is the right answer. Why wouldn't we be letting people use that choice if it's going to work for them? So, yeah. Danny goes on to say, we'll stay as long as I can survive here. Yeah, that's the hard part. Yes, that is the hard part. Absolutely. Patty says, Chelsea Warwick is a write-in for Clinton County Sheriff and wants to talk to you. I think I'm going to be talking with Chelsea coming up here. Aren't we doing an event together in Plattsburgh? I think we are, Patty. So, yes. Why in the world would I be talking to somebody who's running for office as a write-in? Why would I be doing that? It's not because I love or don't love Chelsea. I don't know Chelsea very well, to be forward with you. But I do know Chelsea wants something, which I know I want too. Change. She wants that. I'm in. Let's do some change together. I need as many allies as I can get. As many as I can get. And people running to try to break this system are people who are my friends. We are allies. Let's get together and make some change. What is going to happen now, and people don't want to accept this, if we don't make a change coming up here, we will go so far that there can be no change. I don't want it to happen. I just don't want that to happen. So thank you, Patty, for even bringing up Chelsea. I appreciate that. Justin says, so many freedom-minded New Yorkers have just bought into the idea that the Democrats are always going to win, so why bother? Justin, you have hit a very valid point. But it's because of that attitude that Democrats keep winning and keep crushing freedom and liberty. Yes and yes. And let me cover the piece that matters most in my view, right? I'm a bit biased since I'm obviously running myself. And that is more Republicans or conservatives or non-Democrats, all of those three, are packing up and leaving New York State literally every day. Everybody who's listening knows at least one person who's left, if not multiple. You know, at least one person who's left. Probably multiple. They're leaving. As they leave, the people who are staying are the people who hate Republicans and or love Democrats, one or the other, right? Most of them just hate the other, right? Most Republicans hate Democrats, most Democrats hate Republicans. That's how most of this works. Not 100%, obviously. So then how do you get Democrats to not vote Democrat? Well, Justin, most people have surrendered and go, we can't. Wasted my time. I'm out. I'm just leaving. Or I'm just going to run my business until my kid graduates from college or my elderly parent passes away or I retire and get my pension and then I leave. Well, I would like them to not do that. This is the most important piece to understand. New York State will go gold before it will go red. Let me repeat that because I want you to hear it. New York State will go gold before it will go red. Why? Democrats will not vote for Republicans, but they will vote for libertarians. We know this already. I have the data. I have the receipts. I've already run. I've done polling. If you've looked, you've seen polling. There's data behind the polling. About 25% of the people who support me are registered Democrats. About 40% are registered Republicans. About 35%, the remaining, are either independent or registered other or new voters, insert thing here. So I draw people from all three. That's almost a third apiece. It's not 100%, but it's almost a third apiece. No one else can do that. No one else can do that. I'll go as far to say, no other party could do that. I mean, maybe Forward could if they were a force here in New York State. Maybe Forward could do it if they were. They're not a force right now. Maybe they can in the future. But it's third party or it's nothing. Yes. And that's why Democrats keep winning. And that's why we now have a one-party democracy and not a multi-party democracy. That's why we can't build a coalition against the powerful. Valerie says, great show with a great host. Thank you. Thank you so much, Valerie. I'm trying my best. Absolutely. Yes. All righty. Let me grab. And she goes on to say, folks, spread the word. Write in Larry Sharp for governor on November 8th. Thank you. Yes, Valerie's right. Guys, if you want to support me, please do that. That would be awesome. It's LarrySharp.com. Please check it out if you can. It matters tremendously. Yes. All righty. Let's see if I can go down here real fast. Michael Long says, Alex Merced's one of the guys that left New York. For those who remember, Alex Merced actually ran for Senate. And I think it was 2016. He ran for Senate here as Libertarian. Did relatively well for a senatorial candidate and packed up and moved. You're right, Michael. He moved to Florida. So many people are doing that. Yeah. Gene says, as an Uber driver in Pittsburgh, PA, I have been driving lots of people who moved here from New York. You know, Gene, you would think that people would notice that and do something, right? I am the only candidate who's talking, the only person who has any type of stature. I wish I had more stature, but who had any type of stature that's talking about the number one issue is people leaving New York. It is the number one issue of all the issues. And if we don't fix that, everything else doesn't matter, right? Look, as a business person, myself, my day job when I'm working is I'm a business consultant. And the number one thing you worry about is, are you losing customers? If you're losing customers, you're doing something wrong. I don't know what that is. It could be your product, could be your service, could be your marketing, could be operations. But we know that if you're losing customers, you're doing something wrong. So we got to fix something. That's the first thing that triggers us. Okay, something's wrong. We're losing customers. Well, New York State's losing customers. And all we do is keep hammering people. You will hear New York State tell you, we're going to be able to bring businesses back, businesses back, businesses back. New York State is literally the least friendly business environment of all the states. We beat California in this. And now with our farming ideas, we're going to make it even harder for farmers to hire people. We're making it harder. If you want business to grow, we have to make sure that we make it easier for business to grow. So yes, Paula says, Larry, conservatives should vote for you because you actually want to win and not grift. Yes, guys, I want to tell you, thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I really appreciate it. I will see you all very soon.